to our second topic. Overhyped games. Don't you hate it when IGN tells you this game is going to be the best thing since sliced bread and it turns out to be a moldy piece of shit? Well, we're going to talk about those games. In no particular order. Let's start off with Destiny. No, I'm just joking. Let's go.
Wow.
Let's go with something different. Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs, Ubisoft's answer to an open world sandbox game, sorta, that was supposed to kind of compete with GTA. Not really, but it kind of was. It's kind of that game. Did y'all play Watch Dogs?
I tried it. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm. Allie, did you play Watch Dogs?
I attempted.
Mm-hmm.
I think I waited too. It was like the reviews were all like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be great" and whatnot. And then I think I think so. I was working at GameStop and I rented the game, and because it was traded in like a day later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think I gave it a try, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah. It's definitely like, oh man, I remember it was so hyped and everyone was starting, and then as soon as that game trailer came out, everyone started realizing, wait a minute, why does it look way less quality than the E3 trailer that we all saw a year ago? And then it started to get answered. There was some stuff going on. The graphics didn't turn out to be as great as what they were saying it was going to be. The effects of like smoke effects were like lighter and not as like rendered as we all kind of wanted. And then the story you played is, I think Aiden is the guy that's in that game. Who's very like blank. He's not very good main character. Had a lot of potential though. Like the fact that you can like hack into people's games and like join their game if it was open, and like hack their system and cause more chaos to the city. And then if you were being chased by a car, you can like activate bumpers to like pop up, and then the car smashes, and you're like, that's cool. After the fourth time, and then you're kind of like, okay, that's just how I play the game now. But yeah, it was an interesting game. And then Watch Dogs 2 came out, was a way better game, and but yeah, that first one not so hot. Let's I guess start with another game that we talked about. Titanfall came out. We were already kind of touched on this one in the last bit, but is there anything that we didn't talk about in the last bit that you kind of want to reiterate? Why Titanfall may have been a little too overhyped at the time?
Well, they made it seem like this big, like crazy, like almost like Transformer level of battle, but they basically kind of gypped us on a lot of features, like the online only short as hell campaign that you have to like find lobbies for. For me, it was like being a Titan was the best part about it,
and the fact there were many different Titans too. So
yeah, but I mean the customization was pretty garbage.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yes, yeah.
Customization was crap, and then when you're not a Titan, you're like, man, this game sucks. This is the coolest thing was like the wall running, and like he could shoot down like the AI and stuff. They had AI in the match.
Yeah, that was another thing that was weird.
There wasn't enough obstacles for when you weren't a Titan. So when you're running around as a Marine, you're very, very exposed, and it's pretty.
So you're saying Baby Diva, that are mech.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really get to experience the game. Like I said, I believe, and I'm pretty sure it was exclusive to Xbox, but I dealt with the whole brunt of. So like I had people, pre-order, and where I was working at, internet was not always a thing. And so a lot of people, I always warned them. I was like, hey, this is only online. So like you can't come back and try to return this game if you open it and then you're disappointed,
Yeah, that was a big thing. I remember that, yeah.
So that was like the biggest bruntness, because I got a lot of that where it was like people believed you made the game, and it was like, well, I didn't make the game, I'm just selling it to you.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm just the dealer. I'm just the dealer.
I didn't make it. And so that kind of made it even harder to like such a game, because it's like you were getting so much crap for it. But it probably did have a lot of potential, but it definitely did not succeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that was a big thing of where even when I bought it, that was the thing that people said was, just so you know, when you open this, you cannot return it anywhere. It's like it diminishes all in value at this point.
Yeah, we had to, because it was like, it was not within even 24 hours. I think it was the same night that it was returned. And I was like, I can't refund this. You open this. I'm sorry. And we told you. And yeah, it was bad.
Yikes. We'll move away from Titanfall into a game that we haven't talked about, which is The Crew. I think just recently, I think they even shut down their servers for the first game for PlayStation 4, which is crazy. But yeah, the Crew was this game that I think it was Ubisoft that made the Crew. But it's supposed to be like you can race across America and do the whole whatever it is. It just didn't catch on. I don't know what it really was. I had no reason to get it. I think Forza was making way better games at the time. I don't know when the last Gran Turismo was out, but maybe even PlayStation had a car racing game at that time. But it just, I don't know. It was a weird game, and I guess it just didn't hit with people. Allie, did you have any experience with people returning The Crew, or did you?
Was that an only online?
I think it had online aspects where like you could join your friends, but I don't know if it was exclusively. But it may have been. I'm not entirely sure.
I think it was another one of those games where they were trying to run it on just online, I think, and then people were like, "What? Like, how do you even do that with the
what is this hot garbage?" Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because like that's even the problem with Stadia. Is like I've had problems with that. And they're like when you play racing games, you're trying to race online and it just glitches all over the place. But I can't even imagine like having multiple people. Yeah, GTA has sometimes like that too, especially if you play on PC. Good God. Ashton, did you pick up The Crew?
No, I did not. I saw that and I'm like, no, that's gonna be garbage.
That belongs on the shelf there. Well. Let's move on to another The Division. What about this game didn't hit well with people? It got a sequel. It got a sequel to it. But I mean, you guys are the online players, so I'm curious to see why you guys didn't play it.
So...
My friends actually, Destiny. Oh, you want to go? You can go ahead, because I'm not gonna. I don't
have to.
Oh, okay. So basically, the game had a lot of balancing issues on launch, and for the first year and a half, until they actually literally had to remake the game and restructure it, they legitimately like shut it down for a little bit and then worked on it again and re-released it as like a 2.0. It was terrible. So the content that they did have, some of it was good. Some of it was good. It was cool, brand new experience. Everything was great. But then you get to like playing it for, you're in the teens, you're at like say a cool 15 hours and you're like, oh my God, I've done everything in this game.
I think if I remember correctly, it had trouble at launch. And that was kind of a big deal for them.
It did have some server issues at launch and some glitches.
But so did Destiny.
Yeah, that's very true. That's really
true. Launch bugs I don't really count unless it's super game breaking, and they honestly weren't.
And they did fix it. They did get on that.
They were pretty quick with that. I mean, it took longer than most people would have liked, but it wasn't like it took them months to figure out their server issues.
Allie, did you have? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
The main thing is that the big part of their content was the dark zone or whatever.
Yes, where it was like an open area where it's like you're not safe anywhere you go, kind of thing.
Yeah,
everything goes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. The loot was pretty shit. the risk was not worth the reward, and the community was very toxic. So they just wait at the gate and fuck you up as soon as you walk through. So it was a combination of community there, but the game had like pretty much no content, so it was terrible.
Allie, did you say you had something as well?
So, my friends from the Destiny, the Destiny crew, we moved on, right? We were like, all right, this is the next game we're gonna play. And, I was like, all right, like, sounds good. I wasn't sure what I was getting into. They all pitched in, and they were like, here you go, we got you, the Division. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll pitch in too, and it'll be fun. And then, oh man, the second I found out it was like Destiny grind. This is where I said Destiny killed it for me. I was like, oh, the Division's like that? No thanks.
Yeah, where you've been there, done that.
Hot garbage. The stuff, and I was like, I already been there. I've already spent so many hours on Destiny. I don't think I can do this on this game too. And I feel like a lot of this stuff too was kind of hard for me to understand compared to like Destiny. And like when it came to your gear,
different theming around it. Well, one is like modern day weaponry, right? Like, isn't that where the Division's supposed to like try to hit? I don't know who knows that.
I think so. Yeah. Isn't it like also like it wasn't like a virus as well that happened, and we were all kind of like
in what was post-apocalyptic sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know, like, yeah, I guess Destiny, or not Destiny, the Division is definitely one of those games that it's like, I think they had a good idea, but it was just not gonna hit with what a lot of people were wanting to do, and I think it was still like, the people that were gonna play that game were playing Destiny still, so it definitely was not willing to go for it.
They also flopped again on Division 2, so I feel like they're probably done for the third one.
Yeah, because I remember when Division 2 was being announced, they did this whole thing of like, it's going to be seasons, we're releasing DLC X, Y, and Z during quarter 3, quarter 4, and you're like, okay, I don't know. With the Division. I'm sorry, did I say?
I was just saying Destiny also did that same thing. Say like, whose feet are, like whose footsteps are following.
That's very true. I didn't really connect that either, but I
just feel they didn't learn from their mistakes from the first game.
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people do still play it. It's just not, I don't think it became Ubisoft's thing. And funny enough, this is now the third Ubisoft game that we've talked about. The Crew, Watch Dogs, and The Division are all Ubisoft-made games.
Oof.
But let's step away from Ubisoft, give them a little bit of breathing room, and let's head over to everyone's favorite company, EA, making Anthem. The hit game Anthem. I'll just go out and say it right now. I spent $80 on this goddamn game, and I never saw that money again. It was like I might as well have took $80, went out into my backyard and light it on fire. It was I would have had more entertainment, really. I think the game base was a cool concept. They incorporated this whole like dialogue choices and things like that, but it never really like affected the game. And then the map was cool because you could fly around and in this big jetpack thing and kind of Iron Man yourself out, upgrade it and whatnot. But the thing was, the story never really like kept going. It kind of just revolved around it. I don't know. There was just a lot of good ideas, but no execution on those. And I think it was just a lack of trying to be ambitious about it, but it never really became a thing. And I think it had lack of support. EA at the time was definitely not riding on anyone's good side, so it definitely hurt them in the long run, because I think this was like following the whole Star Wars Battlefront 2 debacle and the loot box systems and things like that, where there is an in-game currency and of a $60 to $80 to, I think even there was a $100 game version for this. And that was a disappointment. Now, if you go to Target and buy it on sale, Target, a new game, you can buy it for $6 to $10. And that was almost a year after that game came out. But Ashton, why don't you shit on my parade even a little bit more, because I know you hated this game from the very beginning.
Yeah, I saw it. I was seeing the previews like months before it came out, and like, guys, this game's gonna flop. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. No,
I
guys,
said I
look.
wanted to give it a chance. Jameson definitely was on the Anthem team though.
There's a bunch of people on the Anthem team. A bunch of people were hyped for this game. So it wasn't just you guys. I was telling everybody, I was like, don't get this game. Just wait. Just wait. Wait for a couple weeks after it comes out. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I would hope to be wrong, and then I'll pick it up. Wait 2 weeks. Wait 2 weeks and get it. Nobody listened. Everybody got like fucking day one, and it flopped in every way that I expected. I was like, it's gonna have no content, and it's probably gonna be buggy, and there it is. That's all you need to know. It was buggy, and it was also just devoid of content. It had nothing. Like, there was no replayability at all in the game. And now they're completely overhauling the entire game, and they're going to come out with a 2.0 or whenever the hell they're supposed to be coming out with that. So who knows if that's still on the table. I haven't checked up on it in a while, but the thing is, it's still, the little bit that you're able to play was fun. It was fun to watch, but it wasn't enough for me to be like, yeah, I'll spend money on this game.
I think the major thing for me that I didn't, there was no reason to keep playing. There was no PvP. There was, if you owned a cool gun, you didn't get to show that off, because that's pretty much what PvP is. Even in Destiny, it's like, oh, cool, look at the gun I got. But now you didn't even have that. You'd be like, all right, here you go. This is what I have. Allie, did you ever pick up Anthem or watch people suffer from it?
I honestly didn't watch much, and I at first I was like, oh, that looks really cool, looks really interesting. And then I kind of just, I let it sit and was like, you know what, I'm not gonna. We kind of learned, obviously, with all these other games that were being announced, and I was like, I'll let it sit. I'm gonna see what they, I'm not gonna let someone overhype it for me, and then buy it instantly. Like Ash said, I waited and then saw how bad it was, or how bad it like just dropped, and was like, well, good thing I didn't spend $60.
Yeah.
I waited. I was always, I feel like we were at a time where we were getting disappointed by a lot of games, and it was like, oh, like, do I want to drop another $60? And like, what if it's not everything you want it to be? So it's like, sometimes we wait.
Yeah, because I think even at the time there wasn't very much coming out after that, so that's why I pulled the trigger on it too early. But yeah, it, like you're saying, it definitely, there was just disappointment after disappointment that was happening at that time as well. And I think Anthem came out in a quarter one at least. It had to be like March, I think. Yeah, February, March. But yeah, it was definitely a big giant crap in the hat. But you know what? I think EA hasn't had enough. I think we need to talk more shit about EA. Let's talk about the debacle of Star Wars Battlefront. And I'm even going to throw Star Wars Battlefront 2 in this. Now, I'm going to say lightly Star Wars Battlefront 2. Because that team has worked their ass off to recover what EA was causing havoc for them. And they have made it. Yeah, exactly. It just... The Star Wars Battlefront... The first game.
I'd say slightly.
Well, with what?
With Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah, it's just like recently they've recovered it, but it was this whole the loot box system hurt Star Wars Battlefront 2 in the very beginning, but the fact of
hurting it.
Yeah, it's still hurting it. But the new content that they do produce is pretty good. They just incorporate a new update where now you can play on the Rogue One planet, which actually is like a 1-for-1 creation, which is pretty cool. But Star Wars Battlefront, the fact that there was like nothing in the game, it was like we were hoping for like Galactic Conquest and like all these game modes from the
battles.
Didn't
exist in that game.
The last games that came out back in like the early aughts, they just never happened. They just didn't bring those in. They were just like, yeah, it's just go shoot everybody. Beautiful looking game. There was just nothing in it. It was like,
yeah, it was pretty garbage. And they really just, they lacked everything that we actually wanted. Like, all they had to do all they honestly had to do was just copy the old Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Fair.
They could have done that.
Could have did that. I would have been okay with it.
It would have been cheaper, and it would have been way better than what the fuck they did. And they found a way. EA, god damn it, you found a way to ruin something else.
Life finds a way to kill itself.
Making me pay for all those expansions on Sims.
Yeah, it was definitely twice. It was definitely riding. EA was and they didn't stop. Obviously, they continued on. This is the first Star Wars Battlefront. I think this was definitely like they, for some reason, I don't know what they got in their head where they were like, hey, we're gonna just start doing these whole like, hey, Overwatch does the loot crate thing, what if we started doing that? And then they started just adding it to all their games and all these microtransactions and garbage. But
the difference is Overwatch does loot boxes correctly.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you're gonna have loot boxes, make it cosmetic only. And it doesn't mean that you have to be able to earn it too. Battlefront does not have that.
No.
Battlefront, it does not.
Yeah.
Overwatch, you can earn it eventually. You can earn loot boxes just by leveling up and doing shit. Star Wars Battlefront, the only way you're getting loot boxes, like the ones that actually matter, and to get you the gear that you actually want
and desperately need, might I add.
Yes, it's pay to win. On top of that, you couldn't even get Vader until you played like, what was it, like 60 hours?
Yeah. And then they unlocked the whole like, oh, you can, the card system thing. That was such bullshit.
Fucking and the card shit needs to go.
Yeah.
Card shit needs to go.
I do like how in Star Wars Battlefront 2, you do earn them in the game. Like, so if you have, like, as in your mid-match, you'll have like enough points to then redeem them for like a Vader or something like that. You have to use your skill to unlock those characters. But before that, you have to have the weapon to do that, which makes things even 10 times worse. But
they fucked up so badly that there's new legislation coming in that EA tried to defend. No, they're just happy little surprise party boxes.
Oh, jeez.
No, bitch, it's gambling. it's fucking gambling for being able to get an edge in a game. It's fucking disgusting. I hate EA. Worst fucking publisher, period, hands down. They can go suck a dick.
Allie, did you ever
and
play...
I will say...
Oh, go ahead. Yep.
And I'll just keep playing Sims. It's fine.
Yeah, leave that team alone.
Yeah, for that part. Yeah, I played the demo, I think, and was like, well, this is something I don't ever want to play, and was like, well, I'm not gonna play it. It was definitely not something that was like, I want to play this day one or anything. It was like I played wasn't it a beta? I think they had.
It was a beta, yeah.
And I think I played like 5 minutes and was like, nah, no thanks.
Yeah, it definitely, and then they charged $60 for that flipping game, and that, I don't know, that always leaves like a dirty taste in your mouth, because you wonder now that there are games that come out and they're like $40, or somewhere even down to the 20. It's like 20, 40, and 60 is kind of where everyone kind of kicks around at. Honestly, the first Star Wars game should have been probably in the $20 to $40 range. It didn't feel like $60. I don't think any of the Star Wars Battlefronts as of recently have been worth $60. Even when I bought Star Wars Battlefront 2, I bought that on sale, and it was only a couple months after that game came out. It was like already on sale for the deluxe edition because it got shit on so fast. But yeah, I don't know. That one definitely was a little overhyped. I remember the excitement when I saw a TIE Fighter roll around in that trailer, and then all of a sudden we got this, and I was like, oh, cool. But yeah, I guess let's talk about flying around a little bit more. Let's talk about No Man's Sky. One of the most controversial games that came out in recent time. Let's start with Allie. Did you ever play No Man's Sky?
I didn't, but holy hell, that was I don't even know where to start. It was like, it instantly, just took a dump everywhere. It was so bad. The reviews are bad. Everyone was like expecting it to be something like amazing. You travel, space. This sounds fun. It's a whole different way of playing. But then again, I also play something else similar to that, but it's nothing near like that kind of. I watched and I was like, oh, it looked really cool. Again, I let it sit and was like, I will wait to see, because like I said, we were kind of in that place where things were overhyped, and I was not ready to. It was a $60 game, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it just was like, oh wait, I'll see what they really say when it comes out, because like we said, IGN likes to hype things up, and we're like, hell yeah, and then it's like, oh well, shit. And I think that was definitely one of those games too. I was just like, the concept was really cool. I thought it was like, oh great, like I think I played it at PAX.
Yeah, I think it made an appearance.
I'm pretty sure I did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did, and gave it a try. And I was like, oh, this is cool. But then I was like, but I don't know if it's something I'm gonna invest that much time into. And so I'll give them props for trying to make up for it and trying to come back and stuff. But it's like, how many people are you going to convince at this point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think at this point now it's just because of the price range, and people are like, oh yeah, I remember that game. $20, sure, or $10, sure. CD keys, it's like $5. Yeah, I'll buy it. It's I think that there's just definitely it kicked people when they were really supporting it, and then they were just like, yeah, all those features we don't actually have those, like the whole big giant multiplayer thing, and then all of a sudden these videos start getting leaked where they're like two people are standing right next to each other, but they're not actually, like, they're on the same planet in the same location, but they can't see each other. And then everyone started realizing, like, oh, this game isn't as multiplayer as we thought it was, and it just became a huge disaster. The graphics looked like shit when it launched, and it was not a good looking game. But it definitely picked itself up and has fixed some of the things that it did, but it took years for that to happen. It did not fix that overnight.
2020.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 2014 was when the game came out. I don't know it. And then didn't they mention they were trying to say that the game is so big that you'll never run into another player ever?
Yes.
I think there's another thing they're trying to say, but also isn't the traveling to other places hard, or it takes a very long time to do, right?
A long time.
Yes, yeah. If you do not have the what do they call it? I don't know. It's some sort of light speed sort of thing. They don't call it that, but you have to have a special type of fuel.
Type shit.
Yeah, and in order to use that fuel, that's the only thing that makes you go to light speed. But if you run out of it, then you're literally going in real time, and it could take you days. So you have to go mine stuff and then go and try and do it again. It is crazy of how that even works. But yeah, theoretically the game doesn't. You can't go to every single planet, because the game is always expanding, which is crazy. But
ain't nobody got time for that.
No, apparently not.
No.
Ashton, you did pick up No Man's Sky.
Yeah, we played it last year at PAX. I got it downloaded and played. It was fun. But I mean, it was nothing like how when it launched, is what I hear. So I enjoyed it. I do think it's still kind of takes, even when you have that feel where you can do the hyper speed, it still takes way too fucking long to get anywhere.
Mm-hmm. And you don't get it for very long either.
No,
it's cool when it happens. There are cool things that happen in the game, but I mean, there are things that I don't even know what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. But that's where it's at. Let's stick with the sci-fi a little bit and talk about some Halo 4. Super hyped for Halo 4. I'm even willing to throw Halo 5 in this conversation as well.
No.
Just, I mean, multiplayer-wise, but story-wise, Halo 5 was really hyped. And then we didn't get exactly what Halo 5 was talking about.
Yeah. Fair.
I'm not going to... I will say Halo 5 has definitely fixed itself in the multiplayer aspect. But let's talk about... What I'm able to talk about is the campaign part of it. And... that we got these crazy trailers of Chief going rogue and this and that and the other deal, and oh man, are we gonna play as someone else and we gotta go kill Chief? What is this game? And then it didn't turn out to be anything like that, and it totally ended differently than we all thought. And Halo 4 is so forgettable. I honestly can't remember what even happened in that game. It just kind of happened. Ashton, you are the Halo guy in our crew. What happened in Halo 4?
Well, Halo 4,
or I guess with Halo 4.
Pile of shit. Halo 4 is literally just a game that you don't even have to honestly play. Halo 4, basically the campaign in a nutshell, is like, okay, we're getting to the point to the story that we actually want to tell, which is Halo 5. So at the end of the game, you're just like, okay, so I didn't like learn anything, and now I have to wait for Halo 5? This is fucking bullshit. And then you go to the multiplayer and you're like, what the fuck is this? This isn't Halo. Like, you get there, there's like fucking stupid ass care package drops kill streaks. It's just like Call of Duty with a Halo twist. That's not what Halo is. Halo is its own thing. Keep it its own thing. Mm-hmm. The only good thing that they added that was actually needed to happen was sprinting was no longer was not a perk anymore, like it was in Reach.
Yeah, just you just do it.
Best thing out of it. The multiplayer maps were all garbage. There's nothing good about them. Some of the weapons were, some of the new weapons were cool. The vehicles sucked ass though. The game just overall was a complete pile of dog shit. Not even worth playing. Not even worth playing. I didn't even get into the Forge on that game. I was like, this is terrible. And I fucking love Halo. Mm-hmm. That game made me hurt on the inside.
Allie, did you ever play Halo 4? I know you're not predominantly an Xbox. There you go. All right, we're moving on.
Moving on.
Did you not have anything, or do you just?
No, okay. I the closest thing you'll ever get me to play Halo game is obviously Destiny.
Fair enough. Well, I guess we can move on and talk about Evolve. This game, it doesn't have much to talk about. It flat out just hit the dirt when it got off the blocks. It was not a good start for them. This was the 4v1 situation. It was for humans versus one giant kaiju looking monster, and it retailed really high than what it needed to be, eventually becoming free, and to this day that didn't even save it. I don't know if any of you played Evolve.
I did not.
Didn't.
I played the beta.
Okay, how did you feel about the beta? Did you see it coming as not great, or?
I mean, I liked the concept. I think we were at that time where we barely had a lot of what is it, like Dead by Daylight style games, you know, where it's like
thing. Yeah, like Friday the 13th.
The 4v1 thing. That. Yeah, Friday the 13th. Oh god, that game is garbage.
It sadly became it, yes.
Yeah. So it was a great idea. I mean, I like Dead by Daylight. I love that game. So I was like, oh, like I've never played anything like this at that time, and I was like, well, this is kind of like a great concept to a game. It sounds cool, and I played it, and I was like, it's okay. It's not the greatest concept. You don't really, what is it? You don't get any like. You don't really get awarded for winning, if that makes sense. Like you don't get pleasure out. I don't know. It's not pleasure, but it's like you just don't get it. Like versus Dead by Daylight, where it's like, oh shit, like I can escape and I can juke a killer and crap like that. You know what I mean? Like that kind of.
Mm-hmm. There's no like, oh man, I don't know if they're gonna. Yeah, because like in Dead by Daylight, there are moments where you could possibly escape. You can like get out of there. You can, as this one is more of like you're fighting the thing, right? This is now. Your offensive versus offensive sort of situation.
Right, and in the killers, like in the other game, it's like you don't have that, fighting chance or anything like that. But yeah, it seemed cool, had a great, idea, but it just did not hit.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't hit.
It didn't slap. It didn't slap.
It did not slap.
Speaking of slaps, this one was a giant slap to all the Fallout fans. Fallout 76, we'll wrap it up on this one. Fallout 76, for all those Fallout fans, was a giant disappointment. From the very beginning of it, the always online sort of... Or it wasn't always online. Is it always online? You can't play that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, it was supposed to be kind of the answer... to the Fallout franchise, whereas Skyrim had Elder Scrolls Online, this was now, hey, how do you do an online game with Fallout? Well, apparently you don't add any of the original content. Everything is a robot, and if you're going to see a human, well, it's a human, and that's how that works. It was supposed to be this grand new thing that they tried doing, but it just didn't hit its mark. do we have any Fallout fans? Allie, are you a Fallout fan?
Yeah, I definitely did like the Fallout game, the Fallout games, but yeah, that 76 was. I saw it. I was like, oh, cool. That's a. I don't know about that. It's fine. I don't know. It seemed like you said it was. They wanted to do something like Elder Scrolls, but they completely missed the mark on that one. But I don't know. I don't play the online Elder Scrolls game either because I thought that was also gonna fail. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it has a pretty big group following now, I think. So
yeah, you hear them every Bethesda E3 conference wooing out in the crowd. Good grief. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, they did it well with that, but with Fallout, it just didn't seem like it was. I don't think it was meant to be for that game if you really think about it, because you are speaking to a lot of computers the entire time. And you're running around and you're trying to stick to your story, but then also like trying not to get lost in side missions. So I don't know where they thought it was going to be a great time to do it online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the cool thing, it was something that everybody wanted. It just wasn't something that was executed properly.
It wasn't that was not what they wanted.
No, obviously not. But it was like they were going in the direction that everybody wanted. Hey, yeah, we want to play Fallout with our friends.
That was was what they wanted. That was the main key.
They could have literally just added online to Fallout 4 and we'd been like, oh, we're
yeah. Oh, how come they've never done that? Like, how come they... I mean, I guess with this, 76 was it. But like, how come... Do you think it could be possible? I don't play the Fallout games too often. Allie, you were mentioning it, so I don't know if you want to elaborate on that one.
I think it's still... Yeah, I think it's still too hard to add an online to these type of games because it's like you're so invested in the story.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I guess because even if they were to just make it co-op and not a massive online, who gets to choose like which dialogue tree you're gonna do?
Fair, fair.
Yeah, and I mean, you can do like even co-op would have been fun, but like not completely open, like not making it full online or anything like that. Like, but being able to play maybe with a friend and stuff like that, being in co-op would have been a great idea, but they completely missed that mark too.
Yeah, because I mean, Fable's done it. Fable did the co-op stuff where you can play with a player, and mainly what you did with it was you'd have your main person that was like the lead of it, and then you'd have your secondary people. But
yeah, and basically how they did it in Fable 3, it was the best in Fable 3 because in Fable 2 you just had a little orb, and you just show up as an orb even though you're both fighting as people. But in 3, like, you'd go over to their story and help them with their story, but you wouldn't progress in your story, but you'd get like money and stuff. You'd still like level up and whatnot, but then you'd have to go back and do the same shit on your world.
Yeah. And then you'd get a cut or something like that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like, if you're doing Fallout or Skyrim for that matter, I mean, I don't think you necessarily need... I mean, Skyrim's definitely easier to make an MMO because it's... Obviously, we've seen that. WoW did it. Final Fantasies even fucking did it. So it's like...
Yeah. But I mean, with Elder Scrolls, though, they didn't make it look how Fallout 76 did. 76 looks like the rest of Fallout, where Elder Scrolls Online looks like baby Skyrim.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that, yeah, Bethesda was just not... I don't know what they were doing. I don't know why they decided to just focus on an online game like that. And then they eventually opened it up with all these DLC things. They did the whole, like, Battle Royale thing they did, which was kind of interesting, and with the Fallout 76 game, and I don't know, maybe...
Oh my god, they tried that? Oh.
Yeah, it was last December they tried doing that? I can't remember. It was like a December they were trying to go for, but it was, oh boy, it was a disaster.
It was also completely buggy and the game would break often. And I will add that their handling of the feedback was awful.
Oh really?
Yeah, they actually, instead of just defending themselves, which they did, they also went on the offensive at the fans. It's just like, okay, let me get this straight. You make a piece of shit game that everybody spent like a shit ton of money on, You also fuck up the pre-order bonuses and not send out what was promised.
Oh, that's right. They did that too. I remember that.
And then you call everybody ungrateful. Honestly, what the fuck? And they also, again, are defending their outdated as shit engine that they have.
Yeah, they have
they're reusing assets from previous games, so everything looks like it's like the beginning of like Xbox One days. Like if you look at the textures, the shit looks like garbage. Go look at anything, and it's not like rendered or polished looking at all. It looks like fucking trash. It's not up to standard, and they still shit on their fans for not liking the game.
Yeah, and I mean, they did try to come back and they added the NPCs and they did all this stuff, but it was definitely too little, too late.
No, they made it playable. Congratulations, assholes.
But I do remember the whole the special editions were getting all messed up. That was interesting. It's an interesting time.
Yeah, they were supposed to send out a nylon bag, and they were like, here's like this weird fucking
cheap thing we found.
Piece of garbage that, we couldn't get it done. No, it's your responsibility. Either give them their money back or say, hey, it's going to take a little while, but we'll get it out to you. That would have been acceptable. Not, you know what? No, here's this expensive thing that we can't do, so we're just going to send you this cheap piece of shit for the same price. Okay, cool.
Is there any last minute things you guys want to say about overhyped games?
No, I think that was a pretty good sum of. I don't know if there's anything in the future right now that's being hyped. Really, honestly, all of this is kind of staggered. So we're kind of over what Last of Us 2 is pushed back. We have
you got Avengers, Cyberpunk, yeah.
Cyberpunk and
Avengers.
Yeah,
we're just hoping for the best, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Most of these games now are going to either be really great or they're going to be really terrible.
Exactly.
I'm kind of worried. But we'll see what happens.
Remake Dead Space.
Dead Space is great.
Yeah, fantastic.
But it's owned by EA, so it'll never happen.
And I don't think that studio exists anymore. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I'll look that up after this. All right, we're moving on.